I'm here. I can't hear anything.
How about that?
That's better. Thank you.
Or just, sure.
Councilmember Bluff.
Here.
Councilmember Stern. Here. Councilmember Gilmore.
Here.
Here.
Councilmember Sapp. Both here. Now John. Councilmember Gutierrez.
Here.
We just call her here. She'll be back.
Yeah, she's here. She'll be right back.
Right.
Make a motion to excuse Councilmember Schreeman.
Oh, that's right. Oh, we don't have to excuse for study sessions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's right. I was thinking I'll shoot, but you know, you don't do that.
I wasn't sure.
All right. You ready, Mark, or do you want to through Lindsay?
Let's give it 30 seconds to get on.
Oh.
Anytime.
All right, City Manager Mark Ziegler has information for us about a co-responder program.
Yeah, I want to start off a little bit by going first going to make introductions. Tonight we have Bill Lockwood, Chief of the North Mason Regional Fire Authority, and Emergency Protection Specialist Abe Gardner, in the North Mason Regional Fire Authority. So, the gentleman here help us navigate a little bit. What a mobile health integrated program, mobile integrated health program looks like. They got some direct experience and what they're doing both in North Mason and South Mason area. And the reason why they're here tonight is we'll start talking about some people who have settlement funds the city received over the last. It's almost 2 years now. And the need to spend those are needs in our community. As I was talking to Chief Snyder at Central Mason, Chief Kostad, talked to Abe a little bit about this and what kind of programs are available that can need to enter the opioid settlement funds. This is an opportunity that I think will fit both with Mason Regional Fire Authority is doing down in the South Mason area, track record. That's established in North Mason. But some of our needs are the same. So right now, just 6,000-7,000. So we're just around $107,000 right now in funds. Go many different ways. We talk about maybe some, first lots of the first responders, potentially offsetting some of the treatment programs that are in place, like potentially ETS grant or some of the other private entities that are providing some of the services. So that's one of the first things if you look at the One Washington strategies. I didn't bring a copy for it. Sorry. That's what you look for.
I was gonna grab my laptop.
I just have a copy because I didn't want to talk about all 14 pages of narrowed down. Kind of want to summarize it, but it's to treat opioid use disorders, or number one. That could be many different avenues. Expand availability for treatment, support and reimbursed services, medication assisted treatment, abstinence-based treatment. There's education, supporting people in treatment and recovery, connecting people to their help they need. What's called connections and care. So it's your health care providers are screening for OUD and other risk factors, supporting screening for youth intervention, referral treatment. Addressing the needs of criminal justice involved persons, so that might be people that are in the justice system already, what kind of treatment and strategies that can be provided to them. Addressing the needs of pregnant or parenting women and their families, in days of neonatal abstinence syndrome, Ethically prescribing and ensure, appropriate prescribing and dispensing of opioids. And that's kind of a stretch for the city of Shelton, if you will, and there might be avenues through Mason Health, preventing misuse of opioids, so this is corrective advertising, public education, drug take backs, anti-drug coalitions, and things like that, and preventing overdose, deaths and other harms, increasing the availability and distribution of naloxone. Provision by public health entities for naloxone training and education regarding naloxone. Schools, staff that would help address overdose, overdoses, support mobile units, offer providing emergency treatment, expand access to testing and treatment for infections and such as HIV. And that type of scene. Leadership planning, coordination, research, and training. So that's kind of the breadth of opportunities within the One Washington agreement. But I think we've got a very viable program here in our midst.
You were saying it was 170, it's in the fund, 170?
Yeah.
What, now the county was collecting these funds first, weren't they?
No, we distributed funds to the county collects it as well. So each county, state, counties and municipalities collect based on a percentage. 2023, we had the agreement with Mason County to distribute funds. We get some ARPA funds, right? Right after I scheduled this, ARPA funds or community lifeline. And then there was some opioid settlement funds I received, I think it was $18,000 as well. As far as I know, that hasn't been spent. We haven't talked about how we spend it, where to allocate. So that's why nothing else has been. So I'm going to start by sharing screens so you can share presentation with that. Provided to us. More introduction, I guess.
Yeah, so mobile integrated health team, what does it come from? Up north, fire departments get a lot of attention for studies, CIT, burning buildings, rescue, and that certainly been on the business, but it's not the majority of what. The far majority of what we do is what we attend emergency medical calls. That's the data problem, which fits in there. And so we looked at coming out of the pandemic, what was happening in the fall. It's probably the same thing in the home city. One of the significant increase, we saw a 30% increase in the number of calls during this one. But when we did a deeper dive onto that, that's a decent amount that we're going at. But when we did a deeper dive into those calls, we looked at the number of calls where paramedics were needed, there's a life-threatening emergency. The fire department was certainly, there's a life-or-death situation. That increase was almost a two. That had stayed the same over 5 years. So what was driving that 30%? What was driving us, we looked into it was, I need some help. I don't know if it's necessarily an emergency. A better mental health issue, a better substance abuse issue. All these other different things that, the fire department and police departments had to be done to catch up. So what didn't make sense to us is that that's what's driving our increased volume. But we don't need is no fire trucks, paramedics, and police. That's not going to be involved. As far as the increase, what we need is a different type of resource and what we were seeing is that what was happening was especially at the North Mason, lack of access to health care. We don't have insurance. We live in Cleveland and still don't have transportation. And so we sit on these issues, mental health, substance abuse, medical, And then what we do with it's too bad, we can't get any more, 911 now becomes pretty much. And so we're getting called, called for this again, medical dispute that needs to be taken care of. What we saw was, one, we were taking our infect service line into the hospital. We also, the other thing I point out, an example, in terms of the hospital, several of success. That's just to walk through the pressure of the hospital. So we've got these minor issues that are going on, taking our needs out of service doesn't make sense. Sticking people with this out of bill doesn't make sense. And the other thing too is, I think there's an assumption that there's this very best that happens in the emergency room with our real complicated patients, so mental health patients or substance use patients. Just give them the emergency room, and it'll solve it. They'll take care of it. That doesn't happen. With a lot of mental health patients, in certain circumstances, the mental health patient will actually be asked back to the basement. Now, we think that's dropping off, and so, we are at least in on that. So, we're just sort of just going, this doesn't, it's just, it doesn't make sense. And so, we ended up hiring, the first in the state of Washington, we ended up hiring a physician assistant. We had looked at a model in different departments where there was community paramedic programs. What that model did was it's a older paramedics. There was more of a social help program. Let's bring you in, stand up on your feet, we start to a little bit, maybe bring in some services. And those, those are producing some good results, but what I got before was true medical action. I wanted our provider to be able to refer patients to specialists. I wanted to be able to provide prescriptions out there in the field. I wanted to, essentially, just when you go to your doctor, I wanted to make that available for people. So we hired our physician's assistants, and a physician assistant have all those capabilities. We do all those things independent of the physician. And so what happens is what I'm facing is, anytime you call 911, fire trucks will always go up, ambulances will always go up. But what we will have the opportunity to do, regarding expertise, they can sit and say, let's make something more appropriate for our PA to have to take it. So the PA, either same day, or next day, we can come out. And then just about anything we can do in the urgent care setting, we can do there. So it's, we can do ultrasounds, we can do referrals, we can do prescriptions, we can you name it, we can do, we're on the verge of getting X-ray, we can do suturing. But we're doing that in the conference of the small. And so we got underway. We brought on Adam as our physician assistant. We're about 2 years into the program. And as Adam was talking to us, he said, listen, love what I'm doing out there, but we're kind of going away with the numbers of mental health, substance abuse that is being part of this program. And he goes, my background, I got a little bit of training, but it's not my area of expertise, and I need some help because these some of those are things that are certainly. And so, Adam was working with Suboxone and some many basis treatment and whatnot, but on the mental health side, it was a little bit more difficult. So we happened to spot what I call a unicorn. The unicorn is a psychiatric care. I didn't know they existed. Actually, put one on. I think just because they don't exist. If you find one, they are they're remarkable. But the other thing about being a unicorn is you find one that actually likes working. You'll see a lot of psychiatric therapies that don't like the clinical setting, but to go into the conditions in the houses and the homes that we see on the fire department, and for them to actually thrive in that environment, that is both. And we ended up finding Chrissy Ivers, who was amazing at what she does. It was a small town connection situation that joined the team. And of course, Abe was with this. I saw Abe from a distance, working with the sheriff's office and working with the public health. So it was a diversion, which is exactly what I wanted to do. Use diversion for the jail. Of course, they were going towards the direction. I said, he is a master of all resources, helping people. I said I wanted them to join our team and do the same thing from a medical religion standpoint. And so with Abe, Adam, Chrissy, now what we were able to do is holistic level. You encounter somebody with mental health or substance abuse, very seldom is that she was going. And whether there's a physical health condition, mental health condition, an underlying substance. And what a lot of times when you're in an emergency room, you'll get a physical doctor that goes, yeah, where's the mental health? Where's the social one? Where's the substance abuse? So one of the things that we're doing in the field is just being able to take a team and sometimes Adam goes out sometimes, Christy and Abe sometimes, Christy and Adam sometimes, it's all three of them. But anyway, they can wrap around a patient. Up north, what we also have is, anybody can refer to this, it's not just the fire department. Schools, so our basic school district components, most of your schools are, there are significant substance abuse issues in their schools. But, you know, they have a nursing level degree of medical provision in schools to have now provided schools engage. Law enforcement, courts, our medical health and medical teams, administration, anybody, there's no wrong door getting to our kids. And we travel, we can plan with the law. And so, we got 2 years in our belt. We noticed that, all you mentioned, the public service, our outcomes were better. Stronger than our first student loan, saved about $6 million in healthcare. If people did not use, so we take the $6,000, and to multiply that by the number of people that would have gone into emergency room at its program, we're about $6 million. We just sit that student 1,200 to 1,300 patient without the going. And so one of the things that we wanted to do is say, hey, we like what we've done in Oregon, but that's Dr. Jenkins and Dr. Chief Snyder. She figured out what we were doing, counterparts and their sound. So we have to look at one. That's not just this so we have a partnership with this kind of maybe with the program $7 that we received in this program. Treatment sales tax dollars, partner with better choice. This is which kind of help the partner. So that we just have this partnership. Just that how can we duplicate the team more like a down south? We were talking about Crystal, the local nurse practitioner, which is much like a field we can strive, we can refer to a lot of things that you can be much like a physician can. And we ended up hiring her back in March. And what we did with Christy, she was working part time, she was like a junior, we actually spent her hours like full. She works 2 days a week at home. She works, and I will tell you guys, it's not a surprise to you, but the need for these services is probably 3 times down south. You know, so we like what we're seeing at more, but more numbers are significantly down there. What we've pulled up so far is, and the other thing too is we've got, and we're going to see the social and behavioral health arrangements. And it's really designed for somebody that finds themselves in an acute situation. And what I mean by that is that there's a medical need, there's a mental health crisis, and there's a substance issue that needs immediate attention. We do not do chronic care. We're not there for sports physical, we're not there for the day-to-day medical. This is like this. We need to stabilize the situation because there is a situation like a mental health crisis. And then we refer to long-term ongoing. And then we walk the person through making sure the connection is made, making sure that that long-term has been established with no. And I think we want to do a better than that sound. And it is shot out of the can. We kind of figured out what happened. So it's slow for people to get up and running. But it was a right down south. The difference up north too is that whereas residents up there they can actually slide by the fire station or they can call us. We will actually there's a resident of the world. That's something just because of the volume down south. We just know if we open that up. We won't have any slide. We'll be able to go the world necessary. So you know, we know that while we are covering Parsippany Island, it's more than whatnot. A big portion of the residents, right? A lot of those folks are coming towards the city of Shelby, the city of Shelby. And we're working right now in the city of Shelby. So we'll keep this set in place and we think about I'm sure we will take the as well. But one of the things we were hoping to do just about, I wouldn't say everything, I have to probably remember that, but it was probably 10 of the 14 things that, city manager, crap off, we are doing. We don't not see anybody based on inability to pay. We feel all insurances, but it was we can't. We're better off, helping somebody there on the side of the street than passing up $6,000 worth of hospital bills or the public, which only make it happen. But we use substance use. We started with Suboxone treatments. I mean, right there on the side of the road. And it's, again, to be able to take care of those social, behavioral, mental, substance abuse, physical health issues with one team. It takes some of the most complicated patients. If you guys don't know, quite a few of us in the area surrounding where premiums have had where smaller problems. And I've seen they do some remarkable work. I've seen them. But there is, this is the way the future provides things. We might be the first in the state to say, certainly not the last. But what I see happening is that from a fire department standpoint, even from a law enforcement standpoint, we are moving into the realm of medicine where we are. Again, people are going to sit there and they're going to use 911. Granted, most citizens will sit there and say, hey, I'm going to use 911 when there's a horrible emergency, but that's not the deal. The reality is, listen, I've got a sore throat, I can't breathe, you don't have insurance, I can't afford it, but I know what the call ambulance. And again, we get there, we're not really prepared for that. We experiments and say on the mental health side, on enforcement is the same thing. The amount of mental health training that I got in school was about 55. Now I'm told as a whole, it's out there, make it happen. You're supposed to know what's going on. Substance abuse is probably about tell you about it and say, all right, go get it. It's just not our part. It's not our area of expertise. So when you can have these medical providers that come alongside your law enforcement, your fire, EMS personnel, you're truly experts in this field, wrap around these patients. It makes all the difference. So, we're obviously monitoring our results. The level we're seeing so far, as far as dollars saved, outcomes. Obviously, our emergency call volume going down, freeing up resources. And we would love to be able to obviously continue to do what we're doing now. That's on the top of the but that's it.
More you talk about this, Any questions? Just kind of
Not yet.
rush right now. You good?
I've got some comments. First of all, thank you for responding to the evolving needs of what's going on out there. It's really important. Thank you again for coming out to the Rotary Club and telling us back in 2022 of this program. Thank you, Abe, for all you do, and also joining the Rotary Club. Shout out to the Rotary Club 4-way test. Hey, anyway, back in 2022, I was asked in a public forum by John Lester from the Journal and Deidre Peterson from the Chamber, if there was one program that I could start or fund, what would it be? And I remember back to your talking to us at the Rotary Club. It's like Bo Bakken's North Mason County Mobile Integrated Health Program is something that I would 100% support. Start whatever money it needed, if it came down from heaven or wherever, I would do that program because it covered everything that we need that Mark pointed out. So that was the one thing, and I still feel the same way. I think that that's what's a really great way to get the most out of our money is to do this program here in the South. So thank you for giving us the opportunity to bring it down to Shelton, down here in the South, and expanding it. It's such a great idea, and it's what we need as a city and as a society is more mental health and integrated health services, because we are not necessarily getting them at the emergency room, and it's way more cost effective to do it this way than to have people go to the emergency room. So thank you so much for giving us this opportunity, and I hope that this council listens to this presentation and is also impressed as much as I am about what we should start. That's it.
Let me preface before we move on, city in partnership, fire authority is sending a grant to EWC yesterday. There's money that funds mobile integrated health programs. Revolve that are 0% match. It's kind of two positions within this grant application. I think we can talk about those two. It's really framed this really well, and what the existing need is, and it's still fairly large. We talk about the systems coordinator, and then the peer coordinator, and peer support specialist. There's still this gap that's missing. Hopefully successful grant application. And then this is the funds. Those benefits. Most of the existing programs, so maybe we can just give more appropriate role into what. So again, the kind of the primary position that's been proposed is the systems coordinator position, and this is the position that I don't know how to say it, administrative position, but more of a position that's going to be a facilitator, be somebody that collects data and reports on successes, do some coordination amongst the service providers and outside community that's appropriate across all issues, treatments that are with substance abuse, physical issues there. The idea too is that this position would be somebody that they develop some more coordination on some of the providers within our region, within our communities, and really have a better holistic approach to some of these providers. So there's hopefully not too much fragmentation. They can have a much better idea what kind of service gaps are out there right now. You really don't know. I guess you don't know where the gaps are until you're out in the field, like with your mission PA, right? That identify the need for the mental health specialists or health staff. There is other agencies, including the Cities and Mental Health organization, and other stakeholders and groups out here that coordination is have that piece of FDCR, so crisis responder right now, and have coordination with the police department. I know that those your crews down here, but everybody's been putting out fires. Just playing the fire, the regional fire authority here, fires, and we're not planning to keep the fires out. So and certainly we have one director for the environment. That's a decision that we're starting. That's system. That's potentially a city staff person. I think we framed it with some potential to contract that out. Be a city staff person would be done to contract out within our organization. Doesn't fit perfectly, with the city departments, position like that, but certainly we have the capability of at least at this point, being flexible and seeing how the rest of that.
Who do the co-responders work for that you're doing in the north side? They work for the county or
They're fucking fire.
they work for fire authority?
Well, yeah, maybe that would be all. But the correspondent, different program, like, it works for always.
That's what we're talking about now is,
Not necessarily, no, it could be, I mean, it's not a mental health profession, this position, this is a system coordinator, this is somebody that. Kind of has an overarching, they might have some specialties, right? It could work specifically with substance abuse.
Yeah, and you know, Mark, so as we were kind of talking about the different ideas, is we were connected on some opportunities and options and having discussion about extending the health. Kind of started thinking a little more in depth about how we would think city with all the different layers that are in existence. And as we're having this discussion with this other opportunity with the Association of Washington Cities, kind of popped up, right? So we started kind of looking at that. We said, oh, we could kind of combine opioids and some association of Washington city limits. And as we were talking about, we just expand on the health, and or is there a different way to maybe look at this than that? Is there an opportunity for senior shelter to have a position or to have kind of a point of contact that works in this works out, when we get the whole world, the house world. So I shared a little bit about my experience when I worked for public health and what it's kind of about. In my position, that I was on the ground, so I was doing some direct service, but I was also the systems level coordination. So sitting with our public health directors and the county commissioners, saying, this is what I'm seeing in the field. This is how the other programs are working. This is where we see some gaps, and this is what I think could work for us and solutions. And so having a combination of position that has that real-time data and real-time experience, but it's also sitting at the table with the folks that make decisions and reporting back that information, there's some real-time ability to show what's happening. And I will say that the programs that we got up and going when I was at the county, so we're still up and going. So there's some validity, I think, to that process. And so we felt as we were having a discussion that, if we want, because I feel as if hopefully it helps to be the foundation of the health system. It kind of works in all the gray areas and allows only the programs to really play to their strengths. But everyone, substance use providers can do substance use, providers do mental health, law does law, fire does fire. But more integrated health has an opportunity to kind of consult that together and work in all the gray areas so that everyone else doesn't have to work outside of their scope. And so as we think about that, I think that there's a real opportunity for the city to have a position, whatever that looks like, whether it be all contract, subcontracting, whether it be under the city, that's what the direction is. But I think there's a ton of value in having somebody from the city's perspective. It's not a city council member and or a city manager is entering into that space and then can report to the direction of city council. And so that was the idea, was that how do we, make PCC run here and be creative, want to bring in more integrated health. We also set up this effort for success, long-term success, so that we can sustain it. So I think that's a little bit about kind of what we wrote. Yeah, attention, and all still for interpretation.
I think much like we've seen in the crisis responder program, we started with the grant from the city, we showed some results, which shows some data improvements there, and we can see the shows that we step up and help us out. Having that information, having that data, and paired with that, they could show the results.
This is my advantage. from 30 months ago, so I'm really excited, but there- The one thing that the southern part of the county has compared to the north is more services. They're made, it's, the problem that we see is that everybody's growing. It's not the same direction, right? So there's a lot of folks doing stuff, which is great. We'll set a foundation through blue that just sits there and says, all right, we're the bottom of the base. Are we rolling in the same direction? So what we said, that's all it's doing, this thing is waiting for fire. It's not a surprise when we drop off the hospitals, and they can, which is all this blue is doing stuff back. And the mobile integrated health is absolutely good. And then obviously, well, doing the same thing, you know, how are we, you know, at systems level, how do we develop this connection?
So, I mean, if, everything that you said sounds great, but I don't know what we're buying yet. What are we buying? I mean, if we're, you know. What do we,
So initially it's that systems coordinator.
Okay.
So that's the person that is partly boots on the ground, but also the coordination piece that he describes. Bringing the pieces together to form the entire puzzle. Mental health side, so it's the east side, from maybe management, right? How those referrals were going to be focused, collecting the data, looking at service provider that needs to help, and potentially TV channels, so telecare or whoever else that might, you know, provide those services.
okay, so in the beginning, we're not gonna have the unicorn on the ground. Oh, we will, okay,
So those are in place.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
Oh, sorry, yeah, I guess.
well,
we missed that.
yeah, I think that position, if what's on paper was come to fruition, it'd be the coordinator position. There'd be an opportunity to bring up here as well, for the city itself, the area, as well as our end. These two proposals, there's opportunity. You know, its own minds with see, it would make two more hands on deck. Expansion of that program. And then also, the position that we're planning that will work alongside. But also.
Got it. And then how much was the AWC grant for?
Yeah.
170 in the opioid money, right?
And then,
184, 560,
in future funding, where's that gonna be?
that's,
The opioid money.
right.
Well, I don't know if that's that much.
Well, yeah, the bulk of the opioid, because it was like sales and distribution, I think, so it was manufacturers taking out, it was distributors, so it's large, pharmacies, we have distributors, so there's some stuff like that stuff, so, you know, we're not guaranteed any certain amount to come forward. I'll do some more research with around Washington and see what they use options, if they can determine what else is coming up.
No. My concern, how is this program, when we spend the 170 and then the 84, how do we continue this program?
Yeah.
Down the road?
So there's another iteration of the issue funds, from what I understand. So,
I mean, it all sounds great, so I'll make sure we can afford it next year and the year after and the year after. So,
Sustainability is
Yeah.
obviously.
yeah,
Well,
that's a kind of always say the bow waivers, bow wave, they always say that.
well, if we set a bow wave, right, then it's easier to come behind that bow wave, and I think that's the intent here, right? We have to start somewhere, we have to establish a program, we use research for that, right? So set that bow wave. And we can build partnerships too, we can help us seeing a decrease in. You know, people entering their emergency room. If MACOM is receiving less calls, we're paying about $17 per call. MACOM each year, and it's probably not going down.
That's only our cost, not their costs. Their costs are actually higher, right?
Well, MACOM passes on the the true cost of providing the service to all of the partner agencies, including the Regional Fire Authority, Central Mason Fire, City of Shelton, Tribal Entities, Sheriff's Office.
So we can show, yeah, if we can show how much we're saving, then we can get more partners saying, hey, you're saving X amount of money. Kick back X minus this, and then.
And that's part of the discussion that you've seen already, right?
Yeah, I mean, if I can wave magic wand, two biggest beneficiaries are what we're doing, the hospital. And number two, the insurance companies, right? Not them, not gonna.
Are you getting any funds from the hospital district?
Yes, yes, so we are, yeah, we're both the hospitals, number one on board, for being in the hospital. We've got to have two up north, one down south. But the insurance companies, they just don't know what to do with this. Because they don't understand what it is we're doing. Like, wait, fire department, yeah, what is this all about? We don't know how to code this. This is not a normal thing. So, but they're the big beneficiary. You know, when you don't take a, you know, Medicaid and or a United Healthcare patient in emergency room, who's the beneficiary of not making stop the insurance company. So what the insurance company should do is, you know, maybe $500,000 investment to save, you know, maybe as much as $10 million. You know, the stuff is not getting to the hospital, which is the hospital. We are making that remain with them. Unfortunately, insurance companies, they want big metrics of data. They want to come to the city of Seattle, it's or big data just like from a little bit of county. It's like, hey, I don't know if we can do much actuarial. It's not risk. It's we will get ultimately. I think going forward, insurance companies. Long.
Is Councilmember Sapp still on, or do we need her again?
She's there. So
Councilmember Sapp, do you have any questions?
No questions at this time. Thanks.
Sounds like if we can get the AWC money, we'll have maybe 2 years of runway for something like this. And yeah, also, like, is there any limitation on how we can use the, I know there's limitations on the opioid settlement money, but in this scope, is it pretty much wide open? We can just say it's this program and we can roll it all in?
there's an alternative response, alternative response team, I think. Program is how it was structured out. It's fairly broad. And this came from some legislation that specifically was targeted for this, targeted towards municipalities, counties, that a lot of the capabilities to integrate co-responder programs, but there's, you know, there's co-responder program is what you make of it, I guess, is simplify it, is what are your needs in your community, how can you best place the professionals that can serve your communities.
Definitely share your concern about long-term costs, but it does seem like 2 years is a great amount of time to collect data and have a real impact. And everything you've shared is super amazing. I'm really impressed. That's awesome.
I wonder if there's any chance for us to maybe apply for any TST money from the county. For the
I think they're absolutely.
down the road.
Yeah, I think there's a good case. There's such a. Definitely do whatever we can to help you guys move forward with this. We'll figure out the long-term funding later if we have to. But I think this is a win for everybody. I've seen the different stuff that you guys have done. I know a lot of the fire department people out here. I know a lot of people involved in this program. I know all the good that it's done. I think to do whatever we can to champion and get behind it and move forward.
Based on your tier, I guess, of what we have.
Yeah, I think, you know, in addition to position, there's one element that I provide for our North End team, so I involved in recovery. My own health and so I was able to get my Washington State certified license, I was at the county, And so, I work with our providers and have that support. And also, in addition to the resource navigation, and we found there's value in having that position on the team. And so that's a, don't have something currently. You know, it's one thing to be sitting in front of, you know, somebody with a lot of book smarts, right, you know, a doctor or somebody else that I need to, somebody that's experiencing whether, you know, crisis or, you know, it's get treatment or detox or talk about just what they have going on. So if they're sitting across the table, with somebody that's got the experience and has shared experience, shared language, that kind of thing, on the data can show the best starting point. And so again, that this would be as close as possible. One of the things that I mentioned that there's a boost and trust from the environmental perspective, right? And we don't take that for granted. And I think the same thing is in terms of there's just kind of some automatic trust. Okay, fine. So, talk with CPEL, talk about what those next steps are. So we think that that's valuable to the team and something that we would like to add. So in addition to some nursing services, which are like initial proposal, like they're not here and down here as well. So,
story I would share is very before the second game is, you know, I do those fast. You just say, hey, you know, there's concerns, obviously, with their records, some of the things that have been passed probably would not normally be conducive to the fire department. Say, look at that as a resume, right? It's just it's a resume because you're going to have experience that I don't have in my role. Our firefighters don't have. We had a patient shortly after we got it away. There's an 911 call. I never one got about myself. Next thing you know, I'm almost the one on hands on with this, you know, it's severe outbreak. And so I back away with the situation. You know, even things today. I call Abe now, and there is like a different language that is spoken. I'm sitting there watching it off, and there's a different language, different interaction. It's something that just again out of my background. You know what? All of a sudden, we go from a battle situation to this person is on his way to detox and antibiotics, wanting to go to get help. I wasn't going to get in there. I was thinking that not like it doesn't have. You're speaking in the language right now. We feel like we've got a little bit of a flat tire on that floor. It's like it's a guarantee about this is yellow. Where is the fear? You know, she gets to work with Abe and saying, hey, I kind of put together a plan and what Abe does and execute this plan and work with them to build that trust. One of those statistics in there that sounds like the mission is to happen. Bring in area of expertise that you just can't get anywhere else. It's amazing quality.
I just want to reiterate my thankfulness and gratitude. And that the integrated approach, I think, is so responsive to what we really need and what's going on out there. So tell us how we can get more and how we can get the insurance companies to change their minds. And if we can add our, you know, little city of 10,000 to your data, then maybe other rural areas could do that as well. So I'm 100% on board, and it sounds like our council is too. So I would like to take part in this experiment and make it a nationwide and graft it on to what we need around the country, not just here in Mason County. So thank you again.
Just emergency call to build on what you're saying. Thank you. That's very appreciated. And we went through that on call. So we had the calls that are happening up here, probably around 17,000. That's the difference. Right. So we go from little, you know, data sets, Mason, that we get to get that way. People will know what's going to happen. And unfortunately, as you guys know, the census in America as well, because you're the long city, a lot of our issues that were all census gravitate towards right here in the center of the county. And so, yes, there can be that for, but the lion's share of a lot of stuff factoring out the county. And out.
I love the peer program. I worked at telecare for a while, once upon a time, and sometimes when peers come in, and it's just a whole different. Obviously, everybody's in a much better mood, they're like, and they, like you said, it's a different language. And it's a beautiful thing to watch, and I could definitely, we've seen some of the situations we have out here. That would be an amazing piece to have. So, I like it.
We've got, support, Lindsay.
I like it. It sounds good to me. I'd like to move the discussion forward.
So I think next steps, we obviously need to see how successful it is. But the turnaround is really quick, it's surprising, because obviously the fiscal year for the state starts July 1. I find it hard to believe that we'll have recommendations or scoring by then, but that's but in the meantime, we can start discussing further what it looks like as an ILA. Most likely, we're talking about seeing where it fits, maybe reach out to a couple other partners where, and really decide to bring back to you whether it makes sense that it's kind of fun. Heck, do things.
I would prefer it to be a contract. That we don't have, create another position in-house, but we can do like we do with DCR, but. One, we don't really, do we have a problem? We bring in and make it a new position? Is it gonna be a union position? All that.
Most likely not, but we can work out some. I have the same concerns, right? Who would this person report to? Do they have the support structure at the administrative level that they may have someone else in the city shelter? Is it being resources I have available to me? I'm certainly not in a position to provide the support that makes fire has. I certainly have that shot, but that would be another option. Is it, it's not, certainly not in our finance department or health works department or traditional. Is it in our police department? I think I can let these gentlemen probably respond to that. That's what's in there. Yes, having law enforcement integrated into a mobile integrated health program doesn't lend to having people open up and be honest and seek the resources they can have. No offense to our police department, right? But they have a little. Yeah. So it's probably not a natural fit, but there's a need, so we'll find our best, that's what we'll address that and bring options.
Thank you, gentlemen. Council have any new items for discussion tonight?
Art walks. Let's be there Saturday.
This study session is over at 6:54. Right, gentlemen. Thank you, Lindsay.
Thank you.